to the Stride Show. We talk about food, health, and wellness. What is food? Where did food come from? Let's take a look. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. To give it a second witness, we look at the book of John, chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him, nothing was made that has been made. So now that we have figured out that God is the one who created the heavens and the earth, let's look at the creation account of food. Back to Genesis chapter 1 verse 9. God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. So that is how dry land was formed. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed bearing." I need you to underline the word seed bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it. So we have seed bearing plants, trees that have fruits, and the fruits must have seed in them, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seeds according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. God saw that it was good, and there was evening and there was morning, and that was the third day. And God said, we are now in verse 20, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing which the water teems and moves about in it according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas. Let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning the fifth day. So this is how fish and birds came about. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. Again, I need us to underline according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And that is how we get the animals that are on land. He spoke to the land. After God created man, he blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth," did you hear that? They will be yours for food. "And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath in it. I give every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw that he had made God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning the sixth day. That is the origin of food according to the Bible. We have so many theories but I will go with the theory that I believe in, and that is how food came about. So what is food? Food has so many definitions. You're going to use a simple definition for the sake of our video. Now, food is a mixture of chemicals, some of which are usually essential for your bodily functions. These chemicals in food that are essential for your body functions are called nutrients. And nutrients have three major functions in the body. The first one is to give you energy. The second is to regulate your bodily functions. And then the third major function of nutrients is to synthesize tissues in your body. Why do we eat? In a nutshell, we eat in order to obtain nourishment, and this is what we call nutrition. So nutrition has its benefits, and one of the benefits of nutrition is that it will enable you to know the types of nutrients that you need in your body, the quantity of these nutrients that you need, and then from which food sources can you obtain the nutrients that your body needs. It would interest you to know that most times when we select food very subconsciously. And a major part of why we select food is not the nutrition content. There are very many reasons. There are like myriads of reasons why people select the foods that they do beyond the scope of the nutrition value that that food provides. So let's look at them. Sensory preferences. You look at the texture of that food, and then we look at the flavor. Sometimes we just select food because of flavor. When we talk about flavor, we are actually talking about the combination of what? Of the taste and the smell of that food. And then the third sensory factor that we look at is the aesthetic appeal. You just look at something and it's like, wow, this one looks delicious, and then you just decide to select it based on its visual appeal. We are able to identify different kinds of tastes. We can identify bitter, sweet, sour, salty, and then right now there's a taste called umami, right? Majorly from monosodium glutamate. I'm talking of cognitive factors here. I mean that how does a particular food make you feel? What are your thoughts towards a particular food? Let's look at some of these cognitive factors. Adverts and promotions. Whenever we see adverts and promotions on TV, there's a particular way they make you feel, and based on how they make you feel, or based on how that advert makes you feel, you will tend to select that food. Habits. You tend to feel about a particular food based on a particular habit that you have. A good example is maybe during your upbringing, your mom used to give you milk before bed, so you grew up with that habit such that before you go to bed you have to drink warm milk. Or another habit could be that you are so used to taking 3 major meals a day so you find that by the time you're growing up, that is a habit that you have picked up. We also tend to pick foods based on the cravings that we have. So unfortunately for craving, most of the times in Africa, women tend to crave for clay. That's a habit called geophagy, where we have habits of eating clay, or we can generalize it and call it pica, where PICA, where we tend to eat non-food stuff. You have cravings for non-food stuff, comfort foods. For example, when we are stressed, we tend to consume carbohydrates a lot in order to just find comfort and ease that stress. And science has proven that carbohydrates have particular chemicals that when consumed, they tend to bring a sense of relaxation to a person. We live in a generation where people tend to put more emphasis on gatherings. So whenever you gather with people, you tend to eat things that people eat, even if you don't like a meal, but the fact that a lot of people are eating that meal could really give you the oomph, or the it can encourage you to consume that meal with them. Finally, on under cognitive factors, you can also consume or select a meal because of your beliefs. And this is where, sadly, many people tend to choose or select high sugar, high fat diets because they believe that sugar has no effect on them. They actually believe that they cannot even get sick, in as much as sugary foods make people sick. Most of us even go for intoxicating drinks because we believe that we are immune, it's got nothing on us. So some of us tend to make healthy dietary choices simply because they believe that when you eat healthy, you're going to be healthy, that whatsoever you put in your body, that is exactly what you get at the end of the day. The environment, we are simply looking at how do you live, your antecedents. We look at where do you live, your location or your geography, and then with whom do you live, because the people that you live with actually influence the food selections, your habits and your food selections. So the first thing that we would like to look under environment is your lifestyle, because right now we live in a very fast paced generation. People are so busy with work and we don't have time to prepare food, so we tend to go for convenience foods. We tend to go for frozen entries or foods that are already packaged. Yeah, in order to keep up with um, the pace of life in our generation. Religion, we see that different religions have different dietary regulations. For example, the Jews have kosher laws when it comes to their meat selection. There's a particular type of meat they're supposed to eat. We have Islams who consume only halal products, meat products. And then for Christians, we have the Seventh Day Adventists and the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They don't believe in taking intoxicating drinks like alcohol, beverages like coffee or even tea. Then we also have religions like Hinduism, where some of the sects in the religion actually forbid them from taking animal products. So some of them are pure vegetarians. The cultural influences. I was actually intrigued when I got to learn that Japanese people eat pufferfish, and pufferfish has a poison called TTX, and TTX has numbing effect. It can numb your nerves, shut down your nerves in a jiffy. And whenever they consume this meal, mostly as dinner, they tend to have numbing effects over their body. So you end up questioning yourself, like, that numbing effect, is that what encourages them to eat the meal, or what exactly is that? Yeah, so we have cultural influences, and the cultural influences will also influence our cultural cuisines. And our cuisines are quite different depending on our locations. There are people who eat frogs, there are people who eat crocodiles. So our meals tend to vary based on cultural influences. The level of finances you have will definitely influence the kind of foods you take. And most of us assume that those who have money, who are liquid, tend to make healthy dietary choices, like they will go for nutritious foods because most of them fetch at a higher price. But according to national research, you actually get to understand that very few people who have the ability to purchase and consume these nutritious foods, they actually don't do it. Instead, they prefer the Western diet, the Western foods. Why? Because society has it that when you consume those, then you portray an image of being blown, like being wealthy. So they tend to go for the Western diets, and that is why you find that most people that have lifestyle diseases in a nation tend to be the ones that are wealthy, or the ones that are extremely poor. Why? Because the ones that are poor tend to go for inexpensive foods, and most inexpensive foods are also very high in fats and very high in sugars. So the two groups tend to suffer the same consequences, unfortunately. I would like to conclude by saying that there is a lot of nutritional knowledge out there, but people have not taken their time to understand this knowledge and to apply them in their lives. So this is a clarion call that people use the available knowledge, nutritional knowledge that is out there, to begin incorporating them into their lifestyle. After all, application of knowledge is called wisdom.